Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you a little walkthrough of Breaking the Covenant by Misha Mansoor, and you can hear the original version here. And then I'll A-B it with mine. But let's get into the instrumental bus first. So I like to do this as the first plugin a lot of the times on my instrumental bus. I'm just doing a hard cutoff around 40 hertz. And sometimes I'll play around with this, drop it down to 30 if it's a really low tune song, but this one's only in G sharp or A flat, so it's not too bad. So you can basically get the track louder if you cut some of this inaudible stuff at the bottom. You can't hear it, but it is there, therefore you can't drive the master limiter as hard. So I got the Brainworks Townhouse compressor. I love this thing. I have the attacks set pretty fast to 1 there, and I got the release set to 0.1. And we got the ratio at 4, which is pretty standard. And I got the threshold basically aiming for 3 dB when the snare hits. So I'll do a before and after on this one. Here's it off. And then on. So where you can really hear this is the snare drum. It kind of clamps down on it and makes the transient a bit more pronounced. And overall just kind of tightens up the mix and adds some life to it. Let's get into drums. For drums, I'm using a mixture of modern and massive. I'm using actually only the kick from the shells. I'm using the hi-hat and all the cymbals except the splash. And then over on Invasion, I'm using the snare. Love that snare. The toms, I believe these are the low tune ones. Yeah, exactly. On the snare, I'm using the Vinnie Paul snare and with the mid punch trigger. So if I show you what that sounds like. Very important note with these toms. I like to do this in all drum programs. If it has an envelope feature, just bring it down so that they don't sustain as long. If I turn that off, rings for quite a bit, then with that on, very dead, just like dies out quickly. Overheads, I usually like to do a little low cut around 150. Bass coming up. I'm using Eurobass 2 by Submission Audio, just on the clean DI preset. Splitting it up into 3 things. We got sub, mid, and high. All together. So this gives you a ton of control when mixing bass to split them up like this. First up, my guitar is not in the right tuning for this song. I play in drop A on my 7th string, and the song's in drop A flat. So not a huge deal. I just loaded up the Archetype Petrucci, set the transpose to -1. This is the best guitar-related pitch shifter I've ever used, I think. I've used Waves, Sound Shifter, Alter Boy, stuff like that, but since this is made for guitar, it tends to respond very well. So yeah, just pop that on, disable everything so it's not using CPU, and then just drop down the transpose -1. After that, we got the Fortin suite here. I love this thing. It's so good for high gain tones. And I originally was using the default cab. Which doesn't sound bad, but I wanted to give the GGD cabs a try. I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can see it. So yeah, full gain up a bit, presence pretty low. This amp tends to be kind of scratchy and bright, so I like the bass high and the middle high, drop the treble. Let's add in our cab. So yeah, I'm using just a little custom thing I made. So I'm using the Woody cab, Barkey cab, and the Rich cab, all with the Friedman mic, or the Fredman mic. And yeah, it sounds pretty good. I got the master EQ on. We can kind of solo each cab to hear what they're doing. So yeah, this one's kind of darker and it was blended nicely with these brighter ones. So yeah, you get a nice blend with all three of these together. It's basically all I'm doing in this plugin. Just sounds good right off the bat. And cool, so let's get into these. I use the gold stack IRs. And we just got some basic EQ, and we got some chorus. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then on this last part, we got the pad synth. Just kind of layers with the lead. Cool. Same with this part. With the lead.